Welcome into NFL Daily Live. I am Tom Downey, producer Roley behind the scenes on today's show. Once again, loaded a longer show because it's the NFL offseason, and I find that fun to have NFL offseason conversation stuff. We begin as we always do. Questions for you, the audience, to respond with. Will Aaron Rodgers play next year? We're going to have yearly Sean McVay rumors. We're going to have potentially yearly Sean Payton rumors. At this point, yearly Jim Harbaugh buzz, and Aaron Rodgers until he steps away for multiple years, I think. The buzz of will he, won't he, just like it was last year, is back, which is, I think, annoying for at least some Packers fans. Will he play football next year? Y for yes, N for no. We'll spend some more time on Rodgers' recent comments on the Pat McAfee show. Will Rodgers play next year? Y or N? Greg Goodrow, Jim Lacey, Shelley say yes. Karen Terrier Mom, True Allure say no. Choppy says trade in there. Let's see what else we got. Oh, that's from a different question. Duh, that makes more sense. Get those votes in. Caleb says yes. Will Rodgers play next year? Producer Roley, yes or no? Is he going to play?
Yeah.
With the Packers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he does play.
I think so too. Oblivion says for a different team. It's much more complicated than what it was last year, which we will get into as part of today's show, I promise you. Sammy Silver says yes. Richard says yes. Ricky, yes. Raider Dave, 84, says no. Keep the Y's and the N's coming. But we do have a pinned poll on Facebook and on YouTube. What will the Ravens end up doing with Lamar Jackson? T for trade, P for pay, or W for they are going to wait and not make a decision this offseason. The early voting right now, 46% say trade, 37% say pay, 16% say wait, which would probably be another tag option. I wonder how much of the trade votes are fans of other teams trying to will something into existence there.
Well, that's how I feel.
Yeah,
Stand those T's.
Yeah,
Stand those T's.
There you go. Derek, Oblivion Empire, Karen, Chad, all say T. Greg Goodrow says trade to the Commanders. Karsten says W for wait. There are P's from Jim Lacey. Robert Harris, True Allure as well. Karsten says wait. Ricky says trade. Kyle says wait. Jarrell says pay. It's going to be, the word I will use is interesting for the offseason for the Ravens. I think a lot of this is they don't want to make it a fully guaranteed deal, and Lamar wants a fully guaranteed deal. Now, maybe another injury this year will help make him go, I'll settle for 80% guaranteed, whatever. It's still a ton of money, but he wants the Deshaun Watson contract. I get it. He's better than Deshaun is. Deshaun didn't play very well, by the way, once he came back. Trade to Houston, franchise tag from Derek. Derek, that counts as W. So vote in the comments section and in the pinned poll. It's up to 49% going trade. As more votes and more audience come in, I'm very curious how that changes throughout today's live show. We will revisit at the very end. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experience to help you achieve your goals. For example, we hired producer Roley from LinkedIn, and so far, so good. Don't blow it, Nick. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. 2023, just underway. You want to make sure the right team member helps you achieve all of your goals, maximize everything you're trying to do as the calendar year finally gets underway. All of that is why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. Links in the comment section and the description. Terms and conditions do apply. The trade rumors are set to heat up, especially around one DeAndre Hopkins. Owner Michael Bidwell didn't really commit to yes, he'll be back this year. I think there's a good chance Hopkins gets dealt. So where will Hopkins play in 2023? Get those predictions in right now in the comments section. And Rolly, I think it's the Alt 3-4. You can just turn that down a little bit so it's over more, two more to the right. That one, yeah. Turn that down just a fraction, yeah. That's better. That's not as much feedback in my ear. Thank you. I see Dolphins. Could you imagine Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and DeAndre Hopkins all on the same team at receiver?
That'd be a cheat code.
That is some Madden stuff. It's like, we're just going to run 3 verts or 4 verts with insert anyone else, and we'll be fine.
They already got the best wide receiver duo in the league. If they added that, I think it'd be the best wide receiver trio ever.
I think it had to be ever, especially if Hopkins plays like Hopkins. Giants, Ravens, Titans, Patriots.
Yep, fired up. I will say, I think it's a possible connection between Belichick and Hopkins because they have so much respect for each other. Mm-hmm. But if Bill O'Brien's the OC, it's not happening.
That's how Chad Johnson happened. Yeah. Way back when, because Bill loved Chad. By the way, he was open on a go route late in that playoff game, and Brady missed him. He was open. I don't think it was the read, but whatever. Patriots, Saints, Giants or Bears, Falcons, Titans, Chiefs. Kind of a cheat code there on that one. Bears or Bills, Diggs and Hopkins together. How much fun would that be? Saints, Panthers. He and DJ Moore would be a lot of fun there. Should be good interest in Hopkins, but the age, the contract, I'm not sure what he goes for. We are, of course, in the midst of the NFL playoffs. So pull out your crystal ball. You've only got so many variations. Predict this year's Super Bowl matchup. Who do you have from the AFC? Who do you have in the NFC? Rolly, who you got?
Bengals, Eagles.
Bengals, Eagles. It'd be a big upset there for Cincinnati. Their defense is really good.
Listen, if they could protect Burrow, I think they take down Buffalo. Beating Kansas City, assuming they win in Kansas City for a second time, is a tall task. But I'm an optimist. I like to see the Bengals win. So.
I am a founding member of Team Chaos. The most Team Chaos outcome is Jags-Giants.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Tom Coughlin Bowl is what we can call it. I would say the odds are about 0.5% because I think the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs are all really good football teams. I think the Eagles and Niners are great. And depending on which Cowboys team shows up, can also make some noise. Week 18, they're getting blown out.
I think
wild card round.
Assuming Philly wins this week, I just think going into Philly for the NFC Championship game, it's going to be too tall of a task, whoever it is.
That is going to be a wild-ass environment. Yeah. And I mean that in the most positive way I can frame that.
Right.
There might be, it's going to be something. I see Bills, Eagles, Bills, Niners, Bengals, Niners, Niners, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Buffalo versus Eagles, Bills versus Niners, Eagles, Chiefs, Eagles win. NFL Kid 34-31. I appreciate that score prediction. Bills versus Niners. Our Giants fan said no, Rolly. They did not like that. I respect it. Bills, Cowboys, Bengals, Giants, Bills, Giants. The New York Bowl, the New Jersey New York Bowl, I guess we'll call it there. We will spend some time once again on head coach predictions because I was like, Jim Harbaugh, this year he'll take it. And Ben Johnson, and, well, they've both withdrawn from consideration, so got to do it again. Which of the 5 head coaching jobs is going to be filled first? DEN for the Broncos, CAR for the Panthers, HOU for the Texans, IND for the Colts, or ARI for the Cardinals. 5 open jobs. Doesn't seem like anything else is going to open up. The Chargers are rolling it back with Brandon Staley. Cowboys won their playoff game, so I don't see any with the way they won. I don't see them firing McCarthy either. Which job gets filled first? Chualor says none of them. Could you imagine? No one takes any of the jobs. It'd be hilarious. I see Denver, Carolina, Denver, Indy, Denver, Houston, Carolina. I'm going to have us do a game here, Rolly. On 3, we're each going to pick which head coaching job gets filled first. We'll go just the nickname, so we're not saying different things
Okay.
at once. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Colts.
Texans. Oh, you went Colts.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be the last one to get filled.
Well, they had so many, they're going to choose one.
They're gonna take too long. I think Denver's a prime option there. I continue to come back to what I've said about the jobs overall. I don't love any of them. They've all got one potential fatal flaw, which almost all revolve around the quarterback.
I do think the Texans might end up being the most attractive, though. I get the Broncos have the defense, and hey, if Russ bounces back, but having the potential either Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, whatever one you like, being attached with you, that's got to be somewhat
That's
ideal.
valuable. I also think the Texans' job, they have not done a good job of rebuilding it with young players. They kept just signing veterans over and over. And I think Nick Caserio really wants to meddle. And you've already gone through 2 head coaches in 2 years. Like, Indy has intrigue, but they've also got the whole, like, owner's going to meddle. Like, Indy can probably get a QB too. So there's just something off with all of those jobs that just give me enough pause to go, is this going to work out in the end? I'm not so sure. All right, if you have not already, like today's video if you are hyped, if your team is alive, or you're just like watching football for the NFL playoffs, or if you're just ready for the off season, you can like the video as well. Well over 100 people watching, and yet not even 25 likes. A very disappointing result from that standpoint. So like the video for us as we get ready for today's live extended NFL Daily, because it's more fun when we do more things. So like that video for us right now. That's low like numbers. Those are rookie numbers. Got to pump those numbers up. Like the video tells YouTube that you like what we're doing, which means they will show us to even more people, and we can continue to grow here at Chat Sports. Here's what's coming up on today's live edition of NFL Daily. A fresh batch of news and rumors, a lot of trade buzz, quarterback uncertainty mixed in there, head coaching carousel, and some predictions on where those teams will go. We've got every interview scheduled, requested, completed as part of it. Playoff predictions as well. We'll go for the divisional rounds. 6-0 on last week's video. Let's see if we can keep the momentum riding right there. We will also have a live Q&A, so make sure you guys are subscribed and you're using hashtag NFL or super chatting in the comments. And to wrap up the show, an NFL mock draft with trades. Papi Chulo sits. I see your super. We'll hit it in the mailbag. It's a fun question. Papi Chulo always brings in some good questions. But we're going to get today's live show started right now. Here's what's coming up on today's NFL Daily. Some news and rumors. We've got Aaron Rodgers' uncertainty. Is he going to give up? Is he going to get traded? Play for the Packers? Who knows? Lamar Jackson's future, also murky. More DeAndre Hopkins trade rumors. And another new Tom Brady, Sean Payton pairing, this time in Carolina, per Mike Floria, who likes to push this narrative. All that and more. And remember to make sure you guys are subscribed. Daily videos multiple times per day here on Chat Sports. Hit that sub button. It's all free when you sub right now. Let's begin with Aaron Rodgers, who said he doesn't really know what he's going to do next season. He did say he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. And people I was more surprised by the reaction of, oh, that's newsworthy, than Rodgers, who's 39 years old, saying, I don't want to be part of a rebuild. Of course, why would he? That's not what he's here for. He's here to win games, win another MVP, whatever. Now, the issue for Rodgers is he did regress this year. And his contract, from a structure perspective, is basically a very expensive player option, which we will get into that more in depth here in a little bit. First, what Rodgers had to say, Pat McAfee show. I think no player wants to be part of any type of rebuild. I said that years ago. Reloads are a lot of fun because you feel like you're close, you're a couple guys away. This game is about relationships. It's about the players you play with and count on, even if they don't maybe show up huge in the stat book. Now, speaking of the stat book, not the best results from Rodgers this year. 2020 was vintage peak Aaron Rodgers. 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Wasn't as good in 2021. The numbers regressed, but he was still awesome. He ends up winning NFL MVP. This year, though, shockingly high touch or interception numbers, way higher than what it's been. Not as many touchdowns, not as many yards per attempt, more completions. Like, everything was down. And I think that raises concerns for Rodgers, who also said publicly talked about winning the MVP as opposed to being a champion. He said this: I think I can win MVP again in the right situation. Right situation, is that Green Bay or is that somewhere else? I'm not sure. But I don't think you should shut down any opportunity. Like I said during the season, that's got to be both sides actually wanting to work together moving forward. I think there's more conversations to be had. That's pretty blunt from Rodgers. Doors open. Doors open for more trade rumors around Rodgers once again. This time, though, it's much more complicated. His cap hit next year, or this upcoming year, I should say, is very affordable, under $16 million. But you have to pick up the $58.3 million option bonus. If you don't, the cap hit balloons to about $50 million this year. It's a very weird contract. It's unusual, but that's where we're at. The cap hit jumps in 2024. There's an option guaranteed pickup in early 2024 as well. You trade for Rodgers outside of retirement, you're paying him a massive amount of money for the next couple of years. There's really no way out of that. But it's up to Rodgers to decide if he wants to play. I think in the end he's back in Green Bay or he retires. So will Aaron Rodgers play next year? This will be the pinned comments on today's video. Type in Y for yes or N for no. Will Rodgers play next year? The ad break comes on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk Lamar Jackson now. Jackson made the public comment of he didn't think he was healthy enough for the play in the playoffs with a grade 2 knee sprain. Contract talks will resume in the offseason. But I also think we're at the point you can't rule out anything because the deal is not done. And because there's a long list of teams that would love to pay Lamar Jackson what he wants, which I believe is a fully guaranteed contract, basically the Deshaun Watson deal. Now, the injuries Lamar Jackson has suffered as of late, it's a very valid concern despite very good production. Now, he's missed time the past couple of years, missed a decent chunk of time with all the injuries he's battled. But the production, although not quite MVP level production, has been very good. And I think the biggest argument in favor of why the Ravens need Lamar Jackson is look at what happens when it's Tyler Huntley. I'm old enough to remember, should people in the live chat before, NFL media, trade for Huntley, make him a starter. Not good in Baltimore. Now, I think it's very fair to say the supporting cast, is not that impactful in Baltimore, but Lamar was still making it work. I think that's very important. Now, we'll come back to Lamar more in depth here, but do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend about $80 a month on subscriptions, but the actual total is closer to $200 or more. That's right, you could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you didn't even know about. There's this app that takes care of it for me. It's called Rocket Money, app I love using. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. Yeah. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel. That is it. Rocket Money will take care of the rest. No more trying to deal with finding what your password was, forget password, log back in, none of that. They take care of it for you. Head over to rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. That's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Seriously, folks, it could save you hundreds per year or more. Check it out. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Back to Lamar and the cost of what things look like they're going to end up being. It's going to be expensive. And that's how the quarterback market works. Now, I think some teams on this list have regrets. Denver, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. It's what happens. It just happens sometimes. It is the cost of doing business and maintaining the guy you believe to be at least a top 10, top 15 QB, because otherwise Look at the list of the quarterbacks in the playoffs. Outside of Shanahan, common theme on them, and I guess maybe Daniel Jones still too. The big issue is not the average per year for Lamar, it's the guaranteed money. And that's because Deshaun Watson and the Browns messed up the market. They took a massive jump that was significantly more than anyone else has gotten and or will get. Russell Wilson did not get a fully guaranteed deal. I think the Ravens would happily pay Lamar Jackson $170 million guaranteed. You're still off by $60 million. That's a lot of money on a long-term deal. So if they can figure out the guarantee the deal gets done, Lamar appears to be in no rush. He'll do the Kirk Cousins thing, a franchise tag, open market, and see what happens. Now, what will the Ravens do with Lamar Jackson? Type in T for they'll trade him, P for they're just going to pay him and just bite the bullet and get the big deal done, or W for they'll wait and see what else happens. Let me know in the comments. T, P, or W. More trade rumors here. DeAndre Hopkins. Previous reports had said, or at least a report, the Cardinals would trade Hopkins this offseason. That had been communicated to the GM candidates, and that would be a deal that gets done because it seems like Hopkins kind of sort of wants out. Now, owner Michael Bidwell said new GM Monty Ossenfort's going to evaluate that. He's only been in the building a few hours, he said. Doesn't know his way around, so he's going to be working on that in the coming weeks, which it's not a denial. It's not a yes, we're going to trade him. So nothing that has been said makes you think, okay, the deal's, he's staying, he's not going anywhere. We'll see. Hopkins has missed time the past 2 years. The PED suspension factoring into part of that there. He was still good despite not having Kyler for an extended period of time. And by the way, pure speculation on my part, I do wonder if in the end Hopkins maybe doesn't want to play for Kyler Murray. Or with Kyler Murray. I think there might be some issues there. Arizona has thrown a lot at the wide receiver spot. They traded picks for DeAndre Hopkins, a first-round pick for Marquise Brown, a second-round pick on Rondale Moore. They spent one on Andy Isabella, who ended up sucking. They spent big money on A.J. Green, traded for Robbie Anderson. Nothing worked out there. And if they trade away DeAndre Hopkins, receivers are need again for them, which, hey, that's why the GM head coach are no longer there, right? So where will DeAndre Hopkins play in 2023? Let me know in the comments section where Hopkins ends up. Maybe it's New York. Maybe it's Baltimore. Maybe it's somebody else altogether. Get those predictions in for me in the comments section. Let's hit another Mike Florio special. Tom Brady, Sean Payton together. Not the first time Florio has done this. He pitched Payton and Brady together back in New Orleans. That did not work. So how about Carolina? Instead, it's another Florio. This is his peak season. He loves making up rumors. Brady, of course, will be a free agent. The Raiders have been the top team linked, but you could go to Carolina. Peyton gets a lot of control with the Panthers. Brady gets an extension, a new deal, I should say, and they try to win in a not-so-good NFC South. That does make some sense. There also are some complications here. Brady would have to want to go to Carolina. Not sure he does there. And I think this is undervalued. Peyton would have to want to coach Brady. And I don't know if Peyton wants to link up with back end of career Brady quite that much. Obviously, it was heavily linked in Miami, but I think that was more a Dolphins attempt than it was like we're going to get this done in the end. Now, there's also this part too. If Carolina gets Sean Payton, I think they would have to give up more than another team would. Because the Saints have Sean Payton's rights. Now, he's going to interview on Friday. Maybe Carolina's on board with that. But Payton said his value was mid to late first rounder. Might be more than that for Carolina because they're in division. And I'm not sure the Saints want to say, yeah, we're going to let you go to Carolina and beat us twice a year. We're going to go more into this here in a little bit, but what is your percent chance, you think the percent chance is, I should say, that Brady and Sean Payton end up pairing up, be it in Carolina or anywhere? Drop that percentage for me in the comment section. 4 teams, not Indy, basically, have set up and or completed interviews with Sean Payton. Denver, Houston, Carolina, and Arizona. In the event that Florio is right and Payton and Brady desperately want to be together, we can cross off teams, right? Denver is stuck with Russell Wilson. Not going to happen. Arizona stuck or has, for both teams I suppose, Kyler Murray. Not going to happen. Houston could make sense from a contract perspective, but That's a rebuild. I don't know if you want to go rebuild Houston. I don't know if Brady would want that. So maybe Carolina makes sense, although it'd be a short-term thing. You'd be in there for a year, 2, 3. Maybe the robot arm comes in and Brady plays for another 1,500 years or whatever. I do think we saw signs of decline this year for Brady in a way we haven't over the course of a season. We've seen moments of him not playing that great, but it's how kind of every QB is, and you know how big media works. He's washed, even though it's not really the standpoint, I think, from that anymore. So I am unconvinced it happens. Hey, we'll see. NFL offseason can get wild and crazy sometimes, which is why you need to be subscribed to Chat Sports. Don't miss out on anything here. Free videos multiple times per day. Hit that sub button right now. We'll ask this next version of the question throughout today's show, the divisional round matchups. Who you got? JAC for the Jags, KC for the Chiefs. I'm thinking it's going to be the Chiefs. Look, Trevor Lawrence never lost on a Saturday.
Men lie, women lie.
Which is weird.
Numbers don't lie.
Which is a ridiculous stat that I think at some point will come crashing down. They should have lost last Saturday. Let's be honest. They should have lost, and they somehow didn't, and also so they kept his job. A lot of I think John Edward Kruger maybe sums up a lot of people's mindsets. KC, but I'm pulling for Jacksonville. The Jags winning is fun. The Chiefs winning is expected. They're the better team. They're the best team in the AFC, or maybe it's the Bills, whatever. But a Chiefs win would be fun. Like that'd be. That the Jags win would be fun, but it's I'm doing just the math in my head here. It's a lot of KCs in there, a lot of KCs. I do see super chats, by the way. Let's just hit them one time, and then we'll hit them in the mailbag too, just to make sure you guys are getting some love there. Let me do one thing here. Make sure I got the right dates for one of the questions. Boppy Chulo sits, TD, would you ever leave Chat Sports to scout for an NFL team? I'd leave for a GM job. Scouting is not a fun life. That is, you are on the road. You're not getting paid very much. You can get fired easily because the regime changed out. Sorry, we're bringing in our own guys. That can be a very not fun situation. So no, I would not do it for scouting. GM job? Let's talk, but no, not for that one there. From Mark, my guy, he says, I feel bad for Rodgers. No serious receiver investment. He was asked for to come in Devontae, and they drafted a quarterback and a bunch of maybe receivers. I think they did find one in Christian Watson, but I get it. You know, they were like all in, and the quarterback draft pick will never make sense to me because you have yet to see what he actually is. That was just bad planning from Green Bay. You don't just take a first-round quarterback unless you have a plan. Only they had a plan in the end. From the greatness of the Raiders. All these, by the way, again, in the mailbag coming up later in today's show. When is the free agent deadline? I assume you mean like the start of free agency. That's the way I'm interpreting that question. The tampering period, the negotiation period is March 13th. That's going to begin at noon, March 13th. The new league year begins on March 15th. At that point, everyone can sign with a team officially. But that's the big jump from that standpoint. From the March 13th, March 15th is your tampering. That's where moves will begin. But, you know, combines at the end of February, early March. So you'll have plenty of totally not illegal tampering going on from that standpoint. And Mark says, man, Trevor's release reminds me of Marino's. It's quick. He's got a – Lawrence's release is interesting. I don't know how much you've really paid attention to it, Rolly.
Can't say I am diving into the X and O's of his release.
He's not – I wouldn't call him like a pure – like it's not as fluid as others. There's still like some aiming, pushing, but it's really good still. It's a very – It's a unique release. I think it allows him at times to put some nice touch on it too. So I'm not sure I'd call it Marino. I think Marino's was a little bit different, but I get where what you're going for there, Mark, so I appreciate that. Remember, all those supers we will also hit, I promise, as part of the mailbag, which we're going to get to after this upcoming segment. We're going to have some NFL head coach predictions to begin instead as soon as producer Rolly's all set there. So thank you, Mark. Greatness of the Raiders and Paul Pichulo sits. Any more supers come in, we'll hit them as they come in outside of the individual little segments. And then the mailbag, we'll also hit them all as part of that coming up in a little bit. You guys are watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It's time for some NFL head coach predictions. We had to make some changes from when we did this video last week. The open jobs have not changed. It's still Arizona, Carolina, Denver, Houston, and Indianapolis. But the potential candidates, the interviews, those are beginning to be kind of finalized. Some guys who I thought could get jobs have withdrawn from spots. So a lot of uncertainty. We'll do the list again, see if we can get some picks right. But first, of the 5 open jobs, which one gets filled first? DEN for the Denver Broncos, CAR for the Carolina Panthers, HOU for the Houston Texans, IND for Indy, and ARI for the Cardinals. Predict that for me in the comment section. Now, originally on our first video of this is the new one, the updated one, I had Ben Johnson getting a job and Jim Harbaugh to Denver. Well, Harbaugh's back at Denver. Gerard Mayo, who I didn't think was going to get a job anyway, has withdrawn and will work on a long-term deal with the Patriots, so that's interesting there. And Ben Johnson, the hot young OC candidate, he's also out of the running, it would appear. So let's go to Denver, where originally I had Jim Harbaugh, because this organization, I think pretty clearly, is trying to make a big-time jump for a home run candidate, a big name, a big addition to this this organization, and really see if they can land the home run candidate. Now, there's one name left on that standpoint this time around. So let's look at the Broncos interviews at this point. At least I'll make note. For all this list you're going to see here, it's not just the officially done interviews. It's people who were requested. They've completed the interview. All that in between is on this list. And so far, as of filming, we have 8 names on this list. We have Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, Ejiro Evero, the Broncos interim head coach, David Shaw, which was a very interesting decision to interview him. I found that curious. D'Amico Ryans, Raheem Morris, Jim Harbaugh, cross them off the list, and Jim Caldwell. Now, they've taken care of the minimum requirement minority hires. Looks like Denver's aiming high. So for the prediction, let's go Sean Payton. This would probably cost Denver their first-round pick. I don't think it is a lock this ends up happening, but I do think Denver's going to aim and try to get this job going. If they don't end up getting him, by the way, I think the most likely outcome is Dan Quinn. So I'm going to gamble on Sean Payton. It's not a lock he takes it, but that's my guess for now. What do you guys think? Will Sean Payton choose to take, I think it is his choice, by the way, a head coaching job this cycle? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Go to Carolina now, as they remember fired Matt Rule midseason. Interim head coach Steve Wilkes almost made that playoffs, or the playoffs in the not very good NFC South this year. Carolina taking a bit of a wide coaching search early on. The common theme, by the way, with D'Amico Ryans, Gerard Mayo not really showing all that much actual interest in the gig. Steve Wilkes is a defensive interim. OC. Former head coach that's OC-minded, offensive-minded. It's all offense in Carolina. That appears to be their path. Now, GM Scott Fitterer did not get fired alongside Matt Rule. Carolina had been linked pretty heavily to Ben Johnson, but he never actually interviewed with them. There was a report saying Ben Johnson was the favorite before he interviewed, which did not make any sense to me. I was not really on I was not sold on that one. I'm going to stick with my initial prediction. It is Shane Steichen, the current Eagles offensive coordinator. There was a lot of early buzz pre-interview process that Shane Steichen was a top candidate for this particular job, that the Panthers liked what they saw out of the Eagles offense this year. So no reason to change. I'm going to stick with Shane Steichen as my prediction for the Panthers' next head coach. NFL's making some hires, and as a small business owner or hiring manager, you guys watching know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. Not just the head coach, it's your OC, your DC. You're the owner, got to hire a good head coach too, right? That's why, outside of NFL teams, you should check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. Maybe that's hiring a new producer. We did that. Producer Rolly came in. Fantastic fit. Big ups to LinkedIn Jobs, helping us find the right person for it. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resumes data by using insights from your job post, company, and the 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates, on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. They make it easy to screen and rate applicants based on job qualifications, all on one platform. Setting all new goals in 2023, right? Making sure that your new year begins the way it needs to. You got to make sure you have the right team member to help you do that. And small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires against leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily. Terms and conditions apply. Links in the comments and the description. To the Texans we go. They're in a very interesting spot. They fired Lovie Smith after one season, after they had fired David Culley after one season. 4 coaches, including interim, since 2020. The number 2 overall pick. I don't think, honestly, that the roster quality is where it would normally be for a young rebuilding team. There's still too many veterans on there. I think it's a better GM job, which is not open, than that coaching gig. And if somebody takes this job, they better have some assurances of, hey, it's not going to be one and done. We'll see. The interviews known so far, Sean Payton, I'd be pretty shocked. Ejiro Evero, Shane Steichen, who, of course, we already have a prediction on, so not him. Thomas Brown has been the fun Rams interview candidate, assistant head coach, or associate head coach and tight ends coach. Jonathan Gannon, D'Amico Ryans, Mike Kafka. Again, you can cross off Ben Johnson. D'Amico Ryans would be great. I'm not sure he wants this job. He can be a bit picky. The early name linked heavily is Jonathan Gannon, who interviewed twice last year, was a finalist for this gig. I believe that the GM, Nick Caserio, is high on Gannon. He's in charge here after all. Eagles DC since 2021. And there is reports that Ryan isn't, there are reports, bad grammar, Tom, that Ryans isn't interested in this job. I love D'Amico. I think Gannon is the next man up if they cannot land him. Now, we're going to keep you guys covered on all the coaching news and rumors. We'll do some coaching grades when it's all said and done. As teams hire head coaches, we'll keep you guys covered. Make sure you are subscribed. Free videos multiple times per day right here on Chat Sports. The Colts are next up here. A lot of interesting situations here. Frank Reich got canned mid-season. The potential meddling from owner Jim Irsay, I think, is a real concern. Is this going to be an Irsay hire? If so, it might just be Jeff Saturday somehow. Is it going to be a hiring of Chris Ballard's choosing? The Colts already are up to 12 interview requests, and I'm not sure they're done yet, which is wild to me. Jeff Saturday, the interim head coach, is on the list, which he's not good. Stop capping for him. He's not good. Eric Bieniemy, Bubba Ventrone, the special teams coordinator, is going to get an interview. Raheem Morris, Ejiro Evero, Ben Johnson, who I thought was a great candidate, off the list now. Shane Steichen, the Eagles OC. Aaron Glenn, the Lions DC, getting an interview. Dan Quinn in the running. D'Amico Ryans, both Giants coordinators. Wink Martindale and Mike Kafka. No Leslie Frazier, which was my initial guess, but he's had no interview requests, so maybe he's not going to job this cycle. I don't know where Indy goes. I will be honest here. This is the biggest guess I have. It's a pure shot in the dark. It's so early and such a wide net. I'm going to go Raheem Morris. There have been some early reports that Morris's first interview went well, so I'm going to kind of just hope that that is a sign of what's to come here. Morris was not great as the Bucs head coach. Better as the Falcons interim head coach when Dan Quinn got fired, who, of course, himself is now a top candidate once again. It's not often defensive coordinators who get fired get a second shot. It's typically the offensive guys get that extra buzz there. So we'll see about Raheem Morris. But I think he's the Rams players love him. I think that could go a long way. A lot of candidates out there. Of the available ones, and we'll include Sean Payton, which might be a very popular answer. Who is the best head coaching candidate out there? Let me know in the comments section. If you could hire any available coach, who would it be? To the Cardinals. Again, jobs are not very good this year. They fired Cliff Kingsbury 1 year into a new contract extension. They have hired Monty Ossenfort as the new general manager, which he is going to have a lot of influence on this search, which is important to remember. Arizona also appears primed for at least a little mini rebuild. Call it a retool, a reload, whatever you want it to be there. Kind of get the books in order a little bit. 6 known interviews, requests, etc. at this point. Brian Flores, Sean Payton, seems unlikely. Vance Joseph, D'Amico Ryans, at minimum, get some insight into your organization for a successful one in San Francisco. Frank Reich and Ejiro Evero, who's been the popular defensive coordinator candidate this time around. My prediction, though, Brian Flores. Mike Florio says Flores might be the favorite for the Cardinals head coaching gig, and he's not the only one reporting that, by the way. The new GM, Monty Ossenfort, worked with Flores when they were back in New England, and I think Arizona could probably use some tough love in that organization, some stability, some structure, I don't want to be mean to Kyler here, but I think Kyler could use some being told no and not yelling at his coach mid-game. That's not a great look. I think Flores would be a good fit for the Cardinals organization at this point. I don't love any of the 5 jobs open. Which of the 5 do you think is the best one, however? Let me know in the comments section. Best head coaching job open right now. I will make note, in my predictions, I did not have Dan Quinn, D'Amico Ryans, or Frank Reich as hired. And I think for a lot of those guys, maybe not so much Frank Reich, it comes down to, are they going to take a job they don't love? Maybe Dan Quinn does get the Denver job. Maybe Ryans wants to go to a place like Houston after all. These guys can be a bit picky. They don't have to run to any job because, especially for guys like Dan Quinn and Frank Reich, you don't get a third shot. That's not really how most NFL teams work. There are some exceptions, but you don't get many third chances. So be patient. Make sure you get the job you actually want. Our next playoff prediction. Who you got? Eagles or Giants? PHI for Philadelphia. NYG for the G-Men. Get those votes in. Yeah. Get those predictions in for me. I think it's going to be all Eagles, right? The Giants have been a fun story, but I can't buy Rolly.
If Corinne was still in there, she'd be saying Giants, but I think the Giants stream is going on, so she probably went over there.
That's fair. That's fair. Keegan says Eagles, but Giants cover. I don't hate that one. Speaking of that, by the way, momentarily our next segment is going to be playoff predictions. Now, I didn't check what I did against the spread. I probably should have gone back and looked. But it was 6 for 6. All 6 games were correct.
You picked all 6?
I did have the Jags.
It's elite stuff.
I had the Jags. I'll tell you what. I thought we started 0 for 1. I really did. I did take the can't lose parlay this week was Bengals over Ravens. Got a little bit dicey.
That game
Bills.
was weird.
That was a weird game, man. Ravens defense was awesome.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the offense. Quarterback fumbled the ball. Oof, rough. I had the Bills, Bengals, and the Niners. Can't lose parlay. I'm like, should I hedge? I'm like, no. Only Howard's hedge. Didn't hedge there.
I will say, I thought personally the Vikings were going to win because like everybody was on the Giants.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, the Vikings are clearly going to win. It turns out everyone knew what they were talking about.
A pretty even split on like the Jags, Chargers. Enough people on the Bucs because no one trusted the Cowboys, which is fair. Which is very fair. Get those votes in. PHI for the Eagles. NYG for the G-Men as we get ready for our NFL playoff predictions. You guys are watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. We'll do it for at least one more week. NFL playoff predictions. 6-0 last week. I don't know if that's going to continue this week, but it's been a good success so far. First, just an overview of where things sit. The NFC playoff picture, it's Eagles against the Giants. It is Niners against the Cowboys. Both games on Fox, Saturday and Sunday. Vikings, Bucks, Seahawks have been eliminated. It was all chalk, meanwhile, in the AFC. The Jags, in one of the more wild playoff games you will ever see, took down the Chargers. The Bengals survived against the Ravens, and the Bills, a bit of a scare against the Dolphins, held on as well. Chiefs, Jags, and Bills, Bengals. Those are the early games on Saturday and Sunday. NFC gets the later ones. Before we get too far in, I want you guys to predict the Super Bowl matchup and the winner. So maybe it's Eagles over Chiefs, Bills over Niners, whatever it is, predict the Super Bowl matchup and the winner for me in the comment section. We're going to begin with the AFC divisional matchup. That is the Jacksonville Jags against the Kansas City Chiefs. The surprise of, I think, mostly very few people. It is a heavy advantage for Kansas City because, well, they're just a better football team across the board, although, hey, Jacksonville found a way to rally in impressive fashion. Chiefs have the number one scoring offense, about league average defense, meanwhile. The Jags have been top 10 in offense and top 12 in defense. So, quality matchup. Kansas City, by the way, is a 9.5-point favorite at home, which I, again, can't say I'm too surprised by. I love what Trevor Lawrence has done this year, and I think we saw the flashes of it last season, the high-end ability, the ability to make big-time plays. He was about as bad as you can possibly be to begin the game against the Chargers. It's like, I genuinely Googled, what's the record for most interceptions in a playoff game? Because I'm like, he's going to keep throwing it. He might do it. And then he's like, that's what you thought. And played out of his mind down the stretch and helped the Jags upset the Chargers in stunning fashion. But he is not the better quarterback in this game. Really, no one is going up against Patrick Mahomes, right? I think he's an NFL MVP. That production's insane. I mean, no disrespect to guys like Jalen Hurts, whatever. Mahomes, he is in the dangerous comparison. The LeBron territory of like, LeBron should have won MVP every year in Cleveland. He didn't because we just assume he's going to be great. So it has to be special greatness, even though his normal level is better than everybody else. That's just how it always goes, right? Who do you have? We'll ask this for every one of the matchups today. JAC for the Jags, KC for the Chiefs. Vote for me in the comments section right now. My prediction, Chiefs win. I have the Jags covering. I think it might be a bit of a backdoor cover for Jacksonville. I think KC is mostly going to be in control. I think you will see a bit of a slow start from the Chiefs. Then they'll have a great second quarter and kind of put that game away, and Jags will kind of rally late. The Chiefs will cool off. They've done it before in a lot of games, frankly. I got the Chiefs winning, though, in the end. To the Bengals and the Bills. This is I think one of the, I rank this as the second best matchup of the weekend. I think there's a clear top two, by the way. Bengals on the road. Many Bengals fans unhappy with that because this previous game, of course, got canceled after the scary DeMar Hamlin incident. Thank God he's okay. Bills, great offense, great defense. Bengals, top 10 as well. Both of these teams can absolutely win the whole damn thing this year. But Buffalo at home, a 4.5-point favorite on Sunday. Going to be a tough road environment for the Bengals. Both quarterbacks are, of course, among the very best in the NFL. I think we would all agree on that front. I don't think either played that great in their opening wildcard round game. Joe Burrow was 23 of 32 for 209 yards. Did have 2 total scores. The Bengals offense really missed Jonah Williams. It's going to be Jackson Carman out there once again, which he sucks. I'm sorry. Bengals fans know it, though. Burrow's a great quarterback. No one doubts it. He has to play a bit better. And Josh Allen has to do better about the turnovers. Everyone made a big deal about other quarterbacks' turnovers. Not as many, though, for Allen in terms of that conversation, which I found interesting. He's been a bit of a red zone turnover machine. He doesn't want to take the easy stuff at points. Like 352 yards, 3 scores. You know what? It's working. I think that is what matters in the end. But when you get to the highest level, when you're playing another top 5 NFL team in the Bengals, you got to avoid the turnovers, or it's just going to make life a bit more challenging for you in the end. So who do you have winning? BUF for the Buffalo Bills, CIN for the Cincinnati Bengals. Get those votes in for me in the comments section. I'm going Bills win 27-24, a 3-point win. Comes down to the final moments of the game. Either the Bills hit the game-winning field goal, Bengals have a chance to drive down the field, or maybe they miss one. I think it's going to be a thriller and a great game. Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe it's an unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed because you have 6 other ones these days. There's this great app that I love using, helps me track all my expenses, and because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. Maybe you were double charged for a subscription. Whatever it is, to cancel on Rocket Money, all you do, press cancel. That is it. Rocket Money takes care of the rest. So get rid of your useless and unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money right now. Go to rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. That's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Seriously, folks, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. We move now to the NFC matchups. The Giants against the Eagles. That is not going to be an easy environment to go into. Giants on their own, prime time football on Saturday. Any way you slice it, and I mean this as no disrespect, the Eagles are the better football team. They have the better offense, 3rd in scoring, better defense, 8th in scoring defense. The Giants actually had a negative point differential this year. Didn't matter. They took down the Vikings, and Brian Daboll and his coaching staff have done an unbelievably fantastic job this year. You can't write off the Giants is what I'm saying. But the Eagles are heavy favorites for a reason. 7.5 points is a big spread for a playoff game. The fun part is, well, these two teams have played each other earlier in the year at full strength. The Eagles took out the Giants 48-22. I think you will see a different defensive scheme for the Giants. They ran a lot of cover 1, and that was just big-time vertical shots downfield. Eagles ran the ball well, too. Miles Sanders went nuts. Daniel Jones held in check. Saquon Barkley had nothing going. Week 18, with the Giants playing the backups, hey, they hung around. Eagles wanted to get Hurts some run. They gave Boston Scott a lot of carries. They wanted to test out Hurts' throwing shoulder. The extra week of rest, I do think, will benefit Hurts from in that category of actually being fully healthy and being able to be the dynamic playmaker he was this year. 3,700 yards through the air, 13 rushing score, 760 rushing yards. Like, I don't really care where the yards or touchdowns come from. It's all the same. A yard's a yard. 5 yards is 5 yards. All that's valuable in the end. So I was very impressed with the play out of Jalen Hurts so far this season. I thought he played. He does this pretty much every year in his collegiate career. He's gotten better pretty much each and every single season, which I think is quite valuable. Also, what was impressive let's give him some love, was Daniel Jones. Those not sold, I get it. I understand it. But I thought DJ had his best game of his career against the Vikings. A lot of success through the air, a lot of success on the ground. Much tougher test. That Vikings defense is, in a word, trash. It's just not good. They should probably fire their DC already. Much tougher test this week for Daniel Jones, but he keeps doing it. He's going to get paid. So who you got winning? PHI for the Eagles, NYG for the G-Men. Get those votes in for me in the comments section. I've got the Eagles in this one. I have them covering the spread as well, 28-17. The miracle run for the Giants, I think, dies down, and Philadelphia gets to take ahead to the NFC Championship against the Niners with the Cowboys. We'll break down that game, but first, make sure you guys are subbed. We will have NFC, AFC title game previews for you guys on Sunday once we know the matchups of those games. Hit that sub button for us right now for more free videos. The final matchup is also the final one on Sunday. The Cowboys against the 49ers. You've got a top 4 scoring offense against top 6 scoring offense. Number 5 scoring defense against the number 1 scoring defense. That is a Super Bowl caliber matchup. We are getting it, though, in the NFC Divisional Round. Still doubts about Dallas. The Bucs aren't that great, but no one trusts them in the first place. This line, by the way, has moved a lot. Opened at 3, 2.5, 3.5 of the 4. It's been very scattershot. A lot of different money coming in different directions. It is a potential revenge game for the Cowboys. They lost last year in the wild card round. Quarterback didn't play well. The ground game was non-existent. The Niners won. They almost went all the way before losing in a heartbreaker against the LA Rams. The Cowboys were bad in the wild card round last year. They were awful week 18. And then Dak Prescott, I think, especially considering the situation, the moment itself, had his best game of his life. 25 of 33. And there were 3 straight drops to begin the football game. And after that, he just balled out. He was perfect. 305 yards, 5 total touchdowns. Now, I will say this for the Cowboys and their offense. The Bucs defense is good. Offense, not so much. The Niners defense is even better. I think that's the best defense in the entire NFL. Brock Purdy, meanwhile, has his toughest test by a big margin. They haven't played that many playoff teams, really only the Seahawks, basically. A bunch of iffy matchups. Much tougher tests for both teams. I would not be surprised at all if the winner of this game not just made it to the NFC Championship game, or won the NFC Championship, maybe won the whole damn thing. Both these teams, if the Cowboys play like they actually can, which they have been up and down this year, have a lot of success. If Purdy can keep the magic going, Niners are dangerous. He was not good in the first half against Seattle, settled down, and the Niners offense does some incredible things after the catch. This is the best game of the week. This is a fantastic matchup. 2 good teams, if they play like it, looking at you, Dallas, and the Niners have a lot of success as well. Who you got? DAL for the Cowboys, SF for the 49ers. I've gone all chalk so far. I can't go 4 straight favorites to win. I can't do it. So I'll go Cowboys win in a thriller. Missed extra points included because Brett Maher is now maybe Maher once again. Cowboys pull the upset. Would I be shocked if the Niners won? Absolutely not. There's a reason it's a very low spread game. I'll pick at least one upset, though. Give me the Cowboys. Who you got? DAL for the Cowboys, SF for the 49ers. Gangsta Big Chungus going Dallas. King Higgins going San Francisco. Shelley going San Francisco. Gary's got Dallas. My opinion says Niners going to the Super Bowl again, or win the Super Bowl. Winner has a great shot. Obviously, the math becomes 1 and 4, but it's pretty good there. Dallas, SF, 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 SF. Dallas, because his girlfriend's a Cowboys fan. There you go, Anthony. SF, I guess. Dallas, San Francisco. I want Dallas, but it's going to be San Francisco from the NFL kid. Goat says San Francisco. Leroy Pearson is Dallas. Venom's got San Francisco. Greatness of the Raiders going with the Niners. Dallas. So a bit more of an even split there. Gangsta says Dallas by 40. Not so sure on that one. That one, I don't think there's a single – I don't know if 40 points get scored, period, this week. Some good defenses left.
I know they're both good defenses, but I would be surprised if it finished 24-20. I think it is more like –
I buy that.
I mean, I feel like that is a very common score prediction. I don't know. I feel like
the over is 46.5, so that checks out pretty close there. I see Dallas from Foster Covers. Oof, this one hurts from Alec G for Niners fans. I apologize in advance. Says the Niners are like the 90s Bills. The bridesmaid, never the bride. That's unfortunate. All right, let's do a mailbag now here. So if you have mailbag questions, get them in on the show using hashtag NFL or by super chatting. Now, we had super chats coming earlier from Mark. Greatness of the Raiders. Mark again just came in. We'll hit that too. Poppy Chulo. We will hit all of your mailbag questions as they come in via super chat or use hashtag NFL. Now, if you use the hashtag, you are at the mercy of producer Rowley choosing to go with your question. So, got to make it good, or he might not end up picking that one there in the end. So, get your questions in, hashtag NFL or by super chatting. Remember, so Foster Covers got one. Evan Hinder's got one too. Blake throwing in a super chat too. All those supers we will hit as part of today's live NFL mailbag. Get your questions in. You only need to put it in there once, and then Rolly will have it as long as you used hashtag NFL. You guys are watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It's a mailbag. You should probably know what that is by now. We answer your questions live on our Wednesday afternoon live show. They come in via just the comments or via super chat from Poppy Chulo Sits. TD, would you ever leave Chat Sports to scout for an NFL team? Not for scout. That is a very tough life. You are on the road a lot. Your work often goes underappreciated. It takes you a long time to rise, and you're not very well paid. Not a fun work entry life there. So I would not. Now, GM job, different conversation. Of course, I'm not going to get that, nor should I. All right, from Mark, I feel bad for Rodgers. No real receiver investing. He was asking for another receiver to complement Devontae, and they drafted a quarterback and a bunch of maybe-like receivers. The timing was weird. You should have taken one earlier. Then you had Devontae and somebody. I think you found one in Christian Watson, but the Packers' organizational philosophy was very interesting. From the greatness of the Raiders, when is the free agent deadline? I assume you mean the start of free agency. March 13th is when the negotiation period begins. You'll hear plenty of rumors. Players will sign then. Opens up at noon Eastern that day. New league year. Things will be made official on March 15th. I think at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So that mid-March, that's when things really get going. From Mark again. Man, Trevor's release reminds me of Marinos. It's quick. Lawrence is kind of a bit of a weird release. He's almost kind of pushing it still a little bit. It's not the same like rubber arm release. See for like even Mahomes, and Wilson has it too, although, you know, he's bad at football. But Mahomes has that just kind of like slinging it in there, sidearm stuff. Very textbook from Lawrence. I like it a lot. He's a hell of a QB, my friend. From Mark, Dallas has no excuse. We're playing a third stringer. He's playing great, but a first time starting to win this. We lucked out playing a poor Tampa team. Look, the Niners are beatable. Brock Purdy, to give him a lot of credit, has played great. Brock Purdy does still lead the NFL in plays that should not work. Like, he's just out there, chaos in the pocket, and it works somehow. It blows my mind, but he's avoided the big-time mistake. It is very tough for rookie QBs to have playoff success. Purdy and the Niners and Shanahan might be the exception, but I think Cowboys fans can talk themselves into a win fairly easy. On the opposite end, from Beat Dem Boys, will the Niners trade Trey Lance? This will be a very popular offseason rumor. Of that, I have no doubt. I actually would not trade Trey Lance if I were San Francisco. I would keep him. We'll see what happens on Sunday, but Purdy's been great. Again, I want to give him a lot of credit, give him his flowers, etc. He has played beyond everyone's expectations. I would say even his own family's, to be quite honest. But Lance is cheap. Purdy is cheap. Why not keep them both? Let them compete if you want for the starting job, and then maybe next year reevaluate that, because you've got a chance to have maybe a young franchise QB. Maybe it's not the number 3 overall pick like you thought it was going to be. Maybe it is Purdy. Let him compete for now. But what do you think they will do? Will the Niners trade Trey Lance? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let us know. From Blake Cavany, hope I pronounced that name right, my friend. Why would anyone want to be the Houston head coach? Because there's only 32 head coaching jobs in the NFL, and you don't get to where you are in the NFL by lacking confidence. You think you can win. You think you can get that team to where they want to be. I understand their concerns. That's why I don't think it's a great job. If you can be picky, D'Amico Ryans, Dan Quinn, be picky. But there are only so many head coaching gigs. Somebody will take it because it's been their dream to be an NFL head coach, and they think they can win in the end in Houston. From Mark, great info as always, my friend. Thank you, Mark. Got any requests from Hawaii? He's got Jeremy's tea. The chocolate-covered macadamia nuts are a huge hit with the wife, so that's always great. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Family's doing well. Olivia's fully walking now. No more crawling, and the teeth are coming in bunches, so that leads to some fussiness, but she's doing great. O-line for the Niners game. I think it will be Peters. I think he's out. I'd be shocked if he played. It'd be such a ridiculous turnaround so quickly. So it'll be Tyler Smith at left tackle to Connor McGovern, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, and Tyler Smith on the right side. To Mark again. Tom for GM. Thank you, my friend. JJ's is useful as a preacher's wife at a strip club. What an analogy. I love it. Thank you. I'm glad we beat Tampa. I'm afraid this was enough to seal McCarthy and more on the team. I know that's your concern, Mark. I do think you're going to have, barring Moore getting hired as a head coach, I think both those guys will be back as head coach OC, which you played well. You showed what you could do. Should give you a little bit of confidence, even if you lose, barring a complete disaster next season. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you probably know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. We've hired here at Chat Sports via LinkedIn Jobs, and so far, so good. Whether it's on-air, producer, whatever role we're hiring for, LinkedIn Jobs has helped us. They go beyond the resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles. Put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified ones on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. They make it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. Trying to achieve your goals to begin the 2023 year, right? That makes sense. Got to do it with LinkedIn Jobs. The right team member helps you do that, and LinkedIn Jobs is rated number 1 by small businesses in delivering quality hires against their leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Next up from Anthony. The Seahawks take Anthony Richardson with their second first pick. I'm a big Richardson believer. If you are all the way in on him, you want to take him with the first round pick, which is dangerous because a team like the Lions could feel similarly and take him from you. So Richardson is going to be, man, he's going to be something. He's going to be a huge success or a bust. He's going to be Josh Allen 2.0, or he's going to be Vince Young 2.0. I don't know how much in between there really is in the end. I want him to go to a good org. I think Seattle can be that because I want that success because there is so much upside. He just needs a lot of polish. Another super chat from the greatness of the Raiders. Can you do a top 10 for each spot in the draft? We will put out my big board roughly like the week before the draft. I'll finalize all my rankings, and I'll have that available for everybody. We'll make it a community post on the channel. It won't be a full-on video because it's just way too long of a video, and then you just want to see the rankings. So I will have that out there. It will be publicly available. It'll be a public Google Doc so everyone can see. The last, I think, 5 years have been out there. You can it's on my Twitter at some point. But we will do that, probably not as a full-on video, but we will have it available for you guys as a secondary item to view during our NFL draft coverage. So, again, make sure you're subscribed. GM Evan Hinders. Brady's going to Vegas, so I think Tampa will draft Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. I do think Brady goes to Vegas. I don't know if Hooker goes top 75, though, or even, I'll just say top 60. So I don't know, if, coming off the injury, if he's your starter week 1 either. Hooker's in a very weird spot. I like him. I think the offense made life easy, which makes it a good college offense, by the way. It was a borderline Mickey Mouse offense. There's a lot of one-read stuff in there for Hooker, but there's upside there for sure. I don't know what Tampa does. They're going to be in a very weird spot. Maybe it's Garoppolo after all. Now, if you want more NFL news and rumors, draft coverage, free agency, you name it, hit that sub button right now here on Chat Sports. King Higgins, where does Stetson Bennett get drafted? I know he's older, but back-to-back titles has to have some value. I don't believe much in the, he won titles, but I think the leadership traits he has is a part of that. I think the athletic ability he has is very valuable. Bennett's issue is he's older, and he doesn't have a great physical skill set in terms of arm strength and physical size. He's kind of a tiny player, but that leadership of being a back-to-back national title winner, the mobility which I crave in a backup quarterback, I think he gets drafted. Now, he is older. To put this in perspective, he and Lamar Jackson were in the same recruiting class. Imagine this Lamar Jackson, this version, this age Lamar Jackson, on Georgia's team at quarterback. That's why age matters. That is why age matters. So I think Bennett does get drafted. I'd say mid to late day 3 as a backup, but there are just going to be some limitations on him. Oh, speaking of Lamar, actually, not even said when I made that analogy. Where does Lamar go? I think the Falcons. I think he sticks with the Ravens. I think the list of teams that would love Lamar Jackson is very long. You can just go group by group, right? Like the Jets would love him. The Dolphins, if they don't trust Tua, would love him. Like the Steelers would probably love Lamar. They're probably going to ride with Pickett. Like the Falcons would love him. The Titans would love him. The Commanders would kill for him. There's a long list of teams that would love Lamar Jackson, which is why in the end, whether it's this year, next year, whenever, I think the Ravens get that deal done. From Ethan Stevens, saw an idea of a Ryan Tannehill trade to the Falcons. There is some overlap there. Arthur Smith is the head coach. He knows Tannehill well. If Tennessee goes to get a new quarterback, I could see Tannehill in Tennessee or in Atlanta, but not via a trade. There'd be too much money the Falcons would have to pay Tannehill for a guy that I just wonder if he's a bridge quarterback if Tennessee dumps him. I don't know if there's much of a trade market for a player of his production. It has begun to dip. It has. And injuries are a concern. The contract, by the way, for Ryan Tannehill, as I double check to make sure I'm right here, in the event he's traded, the new team owes him $27 million. That's a lot of money to pay Tannehill. And oh, by the way, as weird as this might sound, he turns 35 before the start of the season. He's now up there in age. So in Atlanta, sure. Trade? I don't think so. Next up here in our NFL Daily Mailbag, we have a question for you. Name a player who you think gets dealt. I'm not sure it's Tannehill, but I think there are plenty of names who will get dealt. Let me know in the comment section. From Jess, are you sold on Fields as the Bears QB? I personally think he carried one of the worst supporting casts in the league this year. I do want to see more growth from Fields as a passer. I also think that the offensive line was not that great. He does create his own pressure by holding the ball so long. Darnell Mooney was banged up. I think Chase Claypool was not the impact they want him to be. Velus Jones is good when the ball's in his hands, but he's not a great receiver at this point. So I like Fields a lot coming out. So I have that kind of going in, although I try to ignore that once you get to the NFL. But I like Fields coming out. This class is not elite. I would unquestionably have Fields back as my QB next year. Trade down. Get more assets. If Fields is bad, well, then try next year. You saw enough out of Fields as a playmaker to go, yeah, let's give him more time and use his mobility more. It took the Bears too long to figure it out. It really did. Had to get the hits down. Be better as a passer. But there's more than enough promise for me to say, yeah, Fields is the guy next year and probably beyond that. Texas Savage number 3, does Green Bay draft a quarterback? If Rodgers comes back, I'm going to go with no. If he doesn't come back, maybe. And I think either way, a late-round quarterback could certainly be in the cards. But if I'm Green Bay, I'm all in with Rodgers and tanking for 2 or 3 years and being fine with that and really rebuilding without my Hall of Fame QB. I'm the man. Would you trade for Sean Payton if you know your late first is a star? If I know for certain that my late first-round pick is a star player, no. Now, you don't know that. I also don't know if I love the idea of a Sean Payton trade in general. Different teams have different values there. If I'm Denver, I'm probably a bit more open to it with a mid to late-ish first-round pick, but that's a lot to pay for a coach. It is. From Him Fields, how far down would the Bears be willing to trade? Depends on what the offers are. I think in the end, the ideal outcome for Chicago is they trade down to 4. Because in theory, let's say Bears and Colts make the trade, right? They move down. Houston takes a quarterback at 2. Arizona then would take the best available because a team's going to come to 1. A team at 1's taking a QB. QB goes 2. Arizona goes Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. And the Bears take the other of the top defensive player left on the board. And now you're getting the guy you might have taken at 1 anyway, or at least the other top defensive player in a class that has Carter Anderson, bit of a drop-off after that, and you still get one of them and extra assets. So ideally, it's Indy at 4. If it's not, I think the cost goes up a little more. I think Indy, of course, it is cheaper because it's a shorter jump to make there in the end, but I think Indy would be the ideal trade partner for the Bears, although does require Indy to actually want to move up in the end. So what do you think? What will the Bears do with the number 1 overall pick? T for they're going to trade it, or K for they'll keep it. Remember, it also requires other teams to want to come up and make a deal. Let me know in the comments section. T for trade, K for keep. Rashard Lee, what if Dak throws a Hail Mary to beat the Niners? Niners fans are heartbroken. Cowboys fans are elated. Be the first time in a long time since the Cowboys make the NFC Championship game. Sounds like a fun game. Stressful game for all parties involved, and fun in the end for half of the fans, I guess. Christopher C., hot take. Derek Carr gets dealt to Tampa because Tom Brady leaves the Bucs. Thoughts? The issue is you have to make your decision trade-wise for Derek Carr by February 15th. That is the guarantee date on his contract. So they're going to cut him or trade him by then. So if the Bucs know that Brady's gone, then yes, they would do that. If they don't know he's gone, if they think that he has a chance, well, then they're not going to go get him. And that does complicate things from that standpoint. All right, last one from Pat Norris. Why would the Falcons get Lamar or draft a QB when we have Ritter? Far too many other needs to think about, like defensive tackle, center, etc. What do you think? Well, I think in particular for the Lamar Jackson conversation, how good really was Desmond Ritter this past year? 4 games, small sample size, 63.5%, 708 passing yards, 2 scores. It is also worth mentioning that those scores ended up coming when the Bucs had sat most of their players. Now, he does offer you some nice mobility as well. I liked Ritter coming out, but in general, it's not like he played out of his mind. He also lost 2 fumbles, so it was an even touchdown to fumble ratio. The yards per attempt was 6.2. It's not that great. If you can get Lamar Jackson, anything you would be hoping Desmond Ritter could become is not as good as Lamar, healthy Lamar. I think that's the big part there. Draft-wise, you know what? You draft a quarterback in the first round, might buy your org some more time. your GM and head coach might be looking to extend their job security if they love the upside of one of the big 3 or 4 this year. If you guys have mailbag questions, hey, make sure you're subbed that we can get on the mailbag. It's all free. Hit that big red or black and white button right now. All right, let's go back to our Who You Got. Bills or the Bengals? Rolly, who you going with this week?
I'm going with the Bengals. I alluded to it earlier when you asked me my Super Bowl prediction. I have the Bengals shocking the nation, going back-to-back. We'll see.
It would be fun.
It's all, like I said, it's all depending on the Bengals O-line. If they could give Joe Burrow enough time, I think he'll shred even though the Bills secondary is good, Trey White is not what he used to be, so I think Jamar Chase will win that battle. Teron Johnson versus Boyd is going to be good in the slot, but T. Higgins on the outside against Kier, Elam, or whoever they put out there on the other side is going to be where I think the Bengals can attack. So
on Higgins, let's bracket and double Chase and try to take that away a little bit more. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited for that one. Sunday's matchups are awesome. Bills, Bengals, Niners, Cowboys. Two very fun games.
They definitely did it on purpose, by the way, to put the 2 best games on the same day. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. I am curious, by the way, if Damar Hamlin's in the stadium this week, because he was allegedly was going to be there last week, and then it turns out he wasn't. But he's been in the facility for Buffalo, which is awesome. I do wonder if outside of Cincinnati and Ohio, I think it's going to be a heavy Bills lean because of that. But we'll have that game. My boy Mitchell Renz will be live on the Raiders Report for that matchup. So it should be pretty fun, but it's time for the final segment of today's show. It's NFL Daily, and with some more draft spots finalized, it's time for a new 2023 NFL mock draft. The audience does not lie. The views don't lie. You love it when we do them. If you want even more mock drafts, with or without trades, maybe we'll do a 2-rounder in the near future, type in me in the comment section if you want even more NFL mock drafts right here on Chat Sports. Now, we know the Bears have the number 1 overall pick, but for today's mock draft, we're doing a trade. The Bears and Colts make a deal. My trade package here, and then we'll do a bunch of these throughout the year. Number 4 overall, 2024 first, and 2 second-rounders for Chicago. So they own the Colts' drafts this year and next year in exchange for that number 1 overall pick. Now, I do not believe that any of these quarterbacks are the locked and loaded, elite, obvious, clear-cut, Trevor Lawrence-esque franchise QB. It's always a gamble anyway. I will go Bryce Young, number 1 overall. And I will make note, this is an outlier pick because of size. Bryce Young is not a big person. The video or the photo of him and Kyler Murray, not accurate. Kyler is literally in front of him or behind him. So, of course there's a height difference. That's not it's just depth perception. The feet aren't showing. It's very obvious there. But he is tiny, relatively speaking. And I think Chris Ballard's MO is a bigger-bodied guy. You get 3 premium picks, move down 4 spots. It's a good deal for the Bears, as we'll see when they pick at number 4. But will the Bears trade that number 1 overall pick? Why for yes and for no? I think they would rather stay at 4 and would probably take the lesser of the offers to ensure they get the guy they actually want at number 4. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but vote why for yes and for no, as the Texans at number 2 take C.J. Stroud. There are concerns with everybody, right? The mobility was much better against Georgia, but up and down. He's got the more physical skill set, but the arm is in a cannon. Houston needs a franchise guy. They get one there. So the Cardinals now go, we get the pick of defenders. They go Will Anderson at number 3 overall here. The Alabama edge rusher. I saw a mock draft, had him out of the top 5, and you're drunk. Absolutely not. He's going top 5. So is Jalen Carter. Think about this for the Bears, right? You might take Carter at 1 if you stand pat. So you move down, and you still get 3 really damn good picks. That's valuable for Chicago to move down, still get an impact defensive player. Now at number 5, I've got Myles Murphy, edge from Clemson. And for the teams not making trades, there's one more still to come. I will, from our last mock draft, every pick and every player team match is different. So other versions, yes. Seahawks want an edge. There's a big jump after Carter and Anderson. They get a good one in Myles Murphy. Lions at 6, trade alert. Small trade here. Falcons jump up to number 6. Lions slide down to number 8. Now, that pick 6 or 5 could be interesting because I think there's going to be a lot of interest in Will Levis, the pick at number 6. In fact, I disagree. I would not rule him out number 1 overall. He has the measurables in a way that Stroud and Bryce Young do not, plus SEC caliber play. I do think Levis, by the way, would be an awesome fit in Atlanta. His mobility, his arm strength, the play action stuff, I think would fit very, very well in Atlanta. I know Falcons fans might not want it, but in theory, a team like the Falcons, Raiders, Panthers, Titans, dark horse, could all try to move up to get that quarterback early on if the NFL likes Levis the way we've been hearing that they like him. So first quarterback drafted, BY for Bryce Young, WL for Will Levis, or CJ for CJ Stroud. I wouldn't rule out any of them. It's the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it, head down there and let us know. Brian Brzee, number 7 here to the Las Vegas Raiders. I went Paris Johnson last time. I love an impact DT. I'm not as high on Brzee as others are, but there's a lot of upside. The traitsy players that NFL teams tend to love. The Lions now at number 8. How about cornerback Christian Gonzalez? A lot of buzz on him, possibly being the first cornerback off the board. Those of you wondering, why a third-round pick to move down only 2 spots? Well, simply put, what the trade value chart says. It's actually a better deal for the Lions. Extra draft capital there for Detroit, who we'll see later on, with a shocking other pick in the first round. Tyree Wilson, who I think could very well go top 5, by the way, and with the big tiering between Anderson, Carter, than kind of everybody else. Tyree Wilson goes number 9 overall to the Carolina Panthers. He and Brian Burns would be an awesome 1-2 punch. Now, who here has had a tough time canceling a subscription, or maybe you forgot about one? I know I have. I don't remember what my password is. I realize I'm paying for it, or I got to go cancel the free trial, and I go, my password is. I hit forget password. I type it in. You already used that password. Okay, fine, I hate you. Okay, you're a robot, says the robot to me, and I got to go click all the vertical rivers or some pain-in-the-ass stuff, and it's 10 minutes later, I'm just wasting time just to not pay money anymore. And that's why I love using Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place, then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. Maybe you were double charged for a subscription. To cancel one, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. That's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Links in the comments section and the description. Folks, seriously, it could save you hundreds of dollars per year. It's rocketmoney.com/NFL. We appreciate them being a sponsor of us here at Chat Sports. Let's go to Philadelphia. Again, different pick for each team than last one because there's no point in doing the same thing over and over again. Joey Porter Jr., the son of the actual Joey Porter, the original, I guess I should say there. Cornerback 2, and I'm not sure if James Bradbury's back. Eagles got an impact player. Tennessee sprints to the podium, but this is how the board falls. I think Paris Johnson could easily go top 5, top 6, whatever. Left tackle prospect, not sure Taylor Lewan ends up coming back. Plug it in for Tennessee. Number 12, Peter Skoronski, who, as a player, as a football player, I think is better than Paris Johnson. But the measurables, short arms, are a red flag. Houston gets a quarterback at number 2. Here's some protection at number 12. Number 13, Brian Branch. The more I watch, the more I love. I think he can do all this Tyrann Mathieu type stuff that I crave in the modern day safety. The Jets had another impact player on defense. O-line's a concern. If you're mad about who I mocked you, just pretend I found their different position in free agency. You know, it's January. Broderick Jones, which producer Rolly was buying as well here. Left tackle prospect. I thought played pretty well leading up to the college football playoff. Tackles always go earlier than what they maybe normally would. Jones is a good one. How about Jordan Addison? Imagine Jordan Addison in the role that the Packers desperately tried to fit for the slot, like the Randall Cobb, he's washed up. He's not very good. The Amari Rodgers role on offense. Let's put Addison in that. Rodgers is back in theory. get an impact player to pair with Christian Watson. Now, cooking on offense. Remember, folks, if you want more NFL mock drafts, then subscribe. We have free mock drafts for you. We won't do them every week, but it might be close to it. We'll have some fun, do some trade stuff, maybe even do a fan-led mock draft. Find out. Hit that sub button right now. All right, Keely Ringo, number 16, who's a very controversial prospect. Some upside that's really intriguing, ball skills, traits, but still needs work in the coverage aspect. He just looks like he's just not comfortable, fully developed on that front. But upside helps, and the Commanders need cornerback help. Cam Smith of South Carolina. I thought he played really well this year. I finished up most of my profile on him. I always value the measurable stuff. At number 17, there's Cam Smith. Anthony Richardson, number 18 overall here to the Detroit Lions. Now, this one, make no mistake, is controversial. And you're going, wait, why would you pass on a QB? Richardson is the single biggest boom or bust prospect. But I like this range for him, right? The Commanders, the Lions, the Bucks, the Seahawks, maybe even the Vikings, a team that could buy time for him. I don't think he should play year one. And the number one thing for Richardson, and for all quarterbacks to be clear, is how he will do on the whiteboard. Can he effectively show that he is a master of playbooks, a master of everything? Because the quarterback spot, the amount of stuff you have to process in 3 seconds is absurd. Those guys have to be crazy smart, or at least crazy football smart. Otherwise, they're just going to flame out. But you could have Jared Goff in there for a year, 2 years, and then give the reins to Richardson. It's upside, but it's fun to have. Richardson could very well be the biggest draft bust. I would not be shocked if he's Vince Young 2.0, this great athlete who Vince, of course, was much better in college, but it's never quite panned out. Who do you think? You can be a hater here. Who will be the biggest draft bust in the 2023 NFL Draft? Osiris Torrance out of Florida here, back-to-back Gator greats. Bucks need more O-line help. I think I'm going to be higher on Osiris Torrance than most people will be. 0 sacks allowed in college. Fun fit for Seattle, Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. Can play some off-ball, can blitz a little bit if they stick with the 3-4 kind of stuff. Those mixed up fronts, he can play Sam, can play Mike, can play some overhang edge. He can do a lot of fun things for you. Drew Sanders, the former Alabama linebacker, had an awesome year at Arkansas. Number 21, Michael Mayer, the Chargers. Get them an impact tight end. I wouldn't mind some speed, but tight end works too. Keep helping Justin Herbert have better offensive success. Quentin Johnston, one of my guys out of TCU. I am begging the Ravens to please get more receiver help. It's that simple. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't know if Adam Thielen will return next year, but the knock on Justin Jefferson coming out. Oh, he's only a slot, right? JSN might only be a slot. Probably won't be as good, but he's a fluid route runner. He gets open with ease. I love his fit as a wide receiver, too, in like a high-end Tyler Boyd mold. If you can get locked in Tyler Boyd, that's a first-round player. Darnell Washington out of Georgia. This is another one of my guys. He's so big. He's like an NBA power forward out there, and he moves well. And he got overshadowed by the best tight end in football, Brock Bowers, understandably. But Washington will be a better pro than he was a college player. More receivers and tight ends. I actually just realized this is the run, I guess. I don't pay attention to that when I'm building these. Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. How about some speed on the outside? I think, by the way, Isaiah Hodgins, just good. I think he's just a good player. They need more help, though, at receiver. I would not be surprised if when we check in 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, months ago, or from now, that Devin Witherspoon is going to be a consensus top 15 pick. The play this year was awesome at Illinois. Now, he has some size and speed issues, but he was a baller for Illinois. If Dallas can get him, I think they'd be enthralled with it. And surprise name, Deonte Banks out of Maryland to Cincinnati here. I forget if it was Kuiper or McShay put him like top 15 at one point and then kind of dropped him again. They're like, oops, too high. But But I think he'd be a late first-round pick. And teams, they need corners in the modern NFL. Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Developmental edge, upside traits. I think a good fit, assuming it is still Jero Evero back on defense. I think he's a good fit for what they want to do on that side of the football. Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. We'll see if the Poyer-Hyde combo return. But Johnson's a fun overhang, more boxy safety. Big fan of his game. I have always had a tough time finding an earlier spot for Lucas Van Ness. Traitsy prospect, never topped more than 7 sacks in a season. I don't think it's going to be a Trayvon Walker-esque rise. Certainly not the number 1 overall pick. But top 15, I would not rule it out, nor Bijan Robinson going way earlier. I don't know where he's going to go. I almost gave him to the Vikings for producer Patrick, but I couldn't pull the trigger on it. He's a top 10 talent this year. I have no doubts about that. But how early do you take the running back? He's going to go to a good team. Eagles getting him. Rich get richer. Imagine Jalen Hurts, Bijan Robinson, A.J. Brown. Woo-hoo. That's fun. So grade the round 1 mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section. If you don't like it, that's fine. We'll do plenty. Feel free to grade for me in the comments section. Unlike most people, though, I don't stop at round 1. Teams with no first-round pick. Let's go. B.J. Ojulari, Aziz's brother, out of LSU to the Rams. They need more pass rush. Siaka Ika, the run-stopping nose tackle out of Baylor. Stats are not great, but the upside, the traits are very intriguing. Same with Gervon Dexter out of Florida. The Browns need a defensive tackle. Dexter has great upside, the frame, the quickness, etc. The production has not been consistent. I'm not sure Mike Gesicki will return to the Dolphins. How about a new tight end, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah? By the way, a very good first round, or a very good tight end class. This is one of the better ones in recent memory. And finally, DJ Turner out of Michigan. He could maybe be a top 60 pick at corner. I'll be honest, when we get to 97, I start the sim and just see who's on the board. The sims are all broken, but it's all a guess anyway. Some other draft prospects to watch, potential round 1 guys: Jahmyr Gibbs, Will's boy, Kayshon Boutte, Nick's boy, Josh Downs, Trenton Simpson, I've had in round 1 before, along with Clark Phillips. Couldn't quite find the right spot, but a good class there if you want to pick in that 20 to 35 range once again. Again, folks, if you want more NFL draft coverage, all you have to do is subscribe. Free videos right here on Chat Sports, so make sure you guys don't miss out and subscribe right now. All right, before we go, let's revisit the pin poll, Rolly. 49% say trade. I think there is some speaking into existence there, but 49%, the plurality, if you will.
That definitely feels like everyone's like, let's press trade. Let's hope he gets traded, and then we can say maybe in 2 months, hey, we can get Lamar Jackson.
There you go. P for pay, W for wait. The Ravens did open up the franchise tag by paying Roquan, which you can't pay the linebacker over the quarterback. So hopefully they get that done, but at least for the Ravens. We'll see. All right, get those votes in. T for trade, P for pay, W for wait. No loop today. Let's go ahead and end the stream here. It's been a long show already. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. Thank you all so much. Remember to subscribe if you want more free NFL videos all day, every day, right here on Chat Sports. It's all free. We hit that sub button right now. That does it for us today. Tom Downey, producer Rolly as well. We'll see you guys again throughout the weeks to come with more NFL offseason coverage.